Hey everyone! In today's video, we're going to take a closer look at the 1976 Australian 20-cent coin. Now, this isn't just any 20-cent piece, it's part of a long history of Australian currency. Let's find out if you should be holding on to one of these, or better yet, if it could be worth some extra cash. Spoiler alert, you might be surprised. First, let's get into some background on this unique coin. The Australian 20-cent coin first hit circulation in 1966, and its design has become iconic in Australian currency. By 1976, Australia was well into decimal currency, with this coin playing a huge role in everyday transactions. And for anyone who loves unique artwork, this coin has one of Australia's most recognizable designs. So, let's talk design. The obverse side features Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin. This portrait was used on many coins across the Commonwealth and shows her in her youthful, graceful appearance. On the reverse side, we have Stuart Devlin's famous platypus design. Devlin was an acclaimed Australian artist known as the designer with a magic touch for his beautiful and intricate work on Australian coins. Quick fun fact: the platypus design wasn't just chosen randomly. The platypus, native to Australia, is one of the most unique animals on Earth, famous for its bill, webbed feet, and egg-laying abilities. It's the perfect symbol of Australia's rich and unusual wildlife. Now let's get into the numbers. In 1976, around 47 million 20-cent coins were minted. This number might sound high, but it's not the full story. While 47 million is quite a few, some factors make certain coins more valuable. There were no special mint marks or variations in 1976, but there's still a catch. If you're looking for a 1976 20-cent piece, pay close attention to the coin's condition. Coins that are uncirculated or have unique errors can be worth much more to collectors. Alright, here's the part everyone wants to know about the value. How much is your 1976 20-cent coin worth? Well, it depends on a few things. The value of a 1976 20-cent coin varies depending on its condition. Coins in poor condition are typically only worth their face value, which is of course 20 cents. But here's where it gets exciting. If you have a 1976 coin in brilliant, uncirculated, or even just lightly circulated condition, it could be worth around $2 to $5 odd. Now, you might be thinking, $5? That doesn't sound like much. But remember, this is for a coin that originally had a 20-cent value in numismatics. A 20-cent piece worth $5 is still a 25x return on its original value. Now, let's talk about the real potential moneymakers, error coins. Some 1976 20-cent coins have printing errors or minting flaws, which can make them highly sought after by collectors. Examples of valuable errors include misstrikes, where the coin might look off-center or have doubled features, and die cracks, where visible lines appear on the coin due to damage on the minting die. These error coins can sometimes fetch upwards of $50 to $100 or even more, depending on how unique the error is. So if you come across a 20-cent coin with an unusual look, it could be worth setting aside and getting it appraised. So, how do you determine your coin's worth? Here are a few tips. First, examine the coin closely for any signs of wear or damage. Next, check for any errors or unusual marks. A simple magnifying glass can help you spot details you might otherwise miss. And of course, online marketplaces like eBay or coin selling websites are great for comparing prices on similar coins. So, that's the story behind the 1976 Australian 20-cent coin. It may look like an ordinary piece of change, but it holds a little slice of history and might even be worth a little extra cash if you're lucky. Whether you're an avid collector or just have a few coins lying around, it's always worth taking a closer look. In the mid-20th century, Australia underwent a major transformation in its currency system, shifting from the British pound to a decimal currency system. This change brought new coins, including the now familiar 20-cent piece. Prior to 1966, Australia used a system of pounds, shillings, and pence similar to the British system. But this system was complex, especially as Australia's economy grew and global trading increased. The government decided it was time to simplify things, and in 1966, Australia adopted the decimal currency system. This was a historic event and a turning point in the country's financial history. The new currency brought coins and notes that aligned better with the decimal structure, using dollars and cents instead of pounds and pence. As a result, coins like the 20-cent piece were introduced to replace the older equivalent coins. The 20-cent coin was one of the coins minted as part of the new currency system. The very first Australian 20-cent coin was issued in 1966, designed by Stuart Devlin, who became one of the most influential coin designers in Australian history. Devlin, known as the designer with a magic touch, was an internationally renowned silversmith and coin designer. His work for Australia remains iconic to this day, and his 20-cent design with the platypus became one of the most recognizable images in Australian currency. The 20-cent coin features the platypus, a unique animal that is only found in Australia. The platypus was chosen not just for its iconic look, but for its symbolic connection to Australia's biodiversity and unique wildlife. The design captures the platypus swimming, with lines indicating movement, giving the coin a dynamic and natural look. Interestingly, the platypus was a perfect choice to represent Australia on the 20-cent coin. The platypus is known for its distinctive appearance, and it's one of only a few mammals in the world that lays eggs. This made the coin not only a functional currency but a cultural ambassador of sorts. In 1976, 10 years after the introduction of decimal currency, the 20-cent coin was well established in Australian circulation. That year, the Royal Australian Mint produced around 47 million 20-cent coins. This makes it one of the more common mintage years, but that doesn't mean there aren't valuable finds from this batch. The 1976 coin doesn't have a special edition or commemorative variant, but its production reflects Australia's stable economy and the coin's importance in daily transactions. While many were in circulation, finding one in pristine condition today is rare. Today, the 20-cent coin is still part of Australian currency, and the platypus design remains largely unchanged. Stuart Devlin's artwork has become so iconic that the design has remained a core part of Australia's coinage identity for nearly 60 years. Even as currency trends shift and digital payments become more popular, the 20-cent coin continues to hold historical and sentimental value. Collectors around the world treasure the 20-cent coin, especially unique ones from earlier decades. These coins are not only a piece of history but also a reminder of the transition Australia made to a modern currency system. So, whether you're holding on to a 20-cent coin from 1976 for its potential value, its beautiful design, or just as a piece of history, it's a reminder of how far Australian currency has come. This little coin has seen it all: Australia's economic shifts, cultural transformations, and it continues to be a symbol of the country. The 1981 Australian 50-cent coin. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just got one of these in your pocket change, we're going to explore everything you need to know about this coin's history, features, and its value. Let's see if you might be holding on to something special. Let's start with a bit of history. The 50-cent coin is a regular fixture in Australia's currency. But did you know that it has undergone a few changes over the years? The 1981 50-cent coin we're looking at is part of the decagon design series that came about after the 1966 round 50-cent silver coins were removed due to the rising cost of silver. In 1981, the coin was issued with a few distinct minting sources. Some were produced at the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra, but others were minted overseas due to high demand. This led to coins being produced at both the Royal Canadian Mint and the British Royal Mint. While they may look the same at first glance, there are slight differences among these versions that can affect their collectability and value. Now, let's talk design. This coin features the Australian coat of arms on one side, showing the iconic kangaroo and emu. On the other side, you'll see a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, as was standard on. The thing about the 1981 50-cent coin is that it's a dodecagon, meaning it has 12 sides. This makes it stand out from traditional circular coins and adds to its appeal for collectors. However, keep an eye out because the finer details of this coin can give us hints about its origin, which could impact its value. So, how can you tell where your coin was minted? While there's no mint mark on Australian 50-cent coins, you can sometimes identify their origin by examining subtle differences in the way they were produced. Coins minted in Australia, Canada, and the UK have minor variances, especially in the details of the Queen's portrait. One popular method is to examine the Queen's crown details, as Canadian and British mints had slight differences in the engraving styles. However, you may need a magnifying glass to pick up on these details. It's a fun challenge for coin enthusiasts, and if you have a coin from an overseas mint, it could add a bit of a premium to its value. Alright. So let's get to the big question: how rare are these coins? The 1981 Australian 50-cent coins are not particularly rare in terms of basic circulation coins. A large number were produced, so most of these coins don't have high collector value just based on mintage alone. However, what does make some 1981 50-cent coins interesting to collectors is the minting location and any unique variations that occurred in production. For example, some coins minted in Canada and the UK had slightly different qualities in their finish. If you have a well-preserved, high-grade version from one of these overseas mints, it might have slightly more value to the right collector. Now, let's talk value. Generally, if you have a 1981 Australian 50-cent coin in circulated condition, it's going to be worth its face value of 50 cents. However, coins in pristine, uncirculated condition, especially those from the UK or Canadian mints, might fetch a bit more from collectors. A typical circulated 1981 50-cent coin can go for around $0.50 to $1 odd, while uncirculated coins might go for a few dollars. However, if you find a coin in a particularly high grade with little wear and a strong strike, it could be valued even higher by coin collectors, potentially up to $5 odd or more. If you're a collector, a few tips for handling these coins. First, try to store them in a cool, dry place. And consider a coin holder to keep them safe from scratching. For uncirculated coins, handling with cotton gloves can help maintain their different mint variations. A magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe will be a valuable tool. Check forums or coin enthusiast groups as well, where people share tips and sometimes trade coins to complete collections. So, there you have it, a closer look at the 1981 Australian 50-cent coin. While it may not be a huge jackpot, it's a fascinating piece of Australia's coin history with its overseas minting story and unique features. If you have one of these at home, take a closer look. You never know, it might be one of those special variations that add value to your collection. In 1966, when Australia switched to decimal currency, the original 50-cent coin was actually round and made of silver. It was the only Australian coin with silver content intended for circulation. However, soon after it was released, the price of silver went up, meaning the metal in each 50-cent coin was actually worth more than the coin itself. The government quickly realized this was unsustainable, so they pulled the silver 50-cent coins from circulation in 1967 and discontinued them. After a short break, a new 50-cent coin was introduced in 1969 with a different composition and design. The new 50-cent coin was made from copper and nickel alloy and took on a unique, practical move to help people quickly distinguish the 50-cent piece from other circular coins. And this 12-sided shape has been a defining feature of Australia's 50-cent coin ever since. Fast forward to 1981, and we find an interesting chapter in the story of this coin, due to an increase in demand for 50-cent pieces that year. The Royal Australian Mint couldn't keep up with the production levels required, so they made the decision to outsource some of the minting to overseas mints. This led to the production of 1981 Australian 50-cent coins, not only in Canberra but also at the Royal Canadian Mint and the British Royal Mint. These overseas produced coins look almost identical to the Australian minted ones, but each mint left subtle marks or characteristics that dedicated collectors can identify. This variety in minting makes the 1981 50-cent coin particularly interesting for collectors, as it's one of the few Australian coins to have been minted overseas due to high demand. It's almost like a snapshot of Australia's interconnectedness with other countries when it came to keeping up with currency needs. Another important aspect of the 1981 50-cent coin is its design. Coat of arms shows the kangaroo and the emu, animals that are not only symbolic but also practical. They're known for not walking backward, representing a nation that's always moving forward. On the other side of the coin is a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, as Australia is part of the Commonwealth. This particular portrait of the Queen was designed by Arnold Machin, a famous British sculptor, and was widely used on Commonwealth coinage from the 1960s through the 1980s. So when you look at a 1981 50-cent coin, you're seeing a piece that represents both Australia's own national identity and its Commonwealth ties. In short, the 1981 Australian 50-cent coin captures an interesting moment in time for Australia. It reflects the need to expand currency production due to a growing economy, Australia's international connections, and the design legacy that began with the switch to decimal currency in the 1960s. This history not only adds to its charm for collectors, but also makes it a fun and affordable piece of Australian heritage for anyone to own. Whether you're a collector or just curious about the story behind the coins you see every day, the 1981 50-cent coin is a small but fascinating part of Australia's history. Australian coins, specifically the 1972 10-cent coin. This coin might look common at first glance, but as collectors know, sometimes the most unsuspecting coins can turn out to be valuable gems. So stick around to find out why this 1972 10-cent piece is special and whether it's worth more than face value. Let's get started. The 10-cent coin we're talking about today was first introduced in 1966 when Australia switched to decimal currency. But our focus is on the 1972 version, which has some unique characteristics that can make it more valuable to collectors. This coin is made of copper nickel, weighs 5.65 grams, and has a diameter of 23.6 millimeters. 1972 was actually an interesting year for the 10-cent coin. Although there were no major design changes that year, the coin is known for its lower mintage numbers compared to other years, which can make it more desirable to collectors. Let's take a closer look at the design. On the reverse side, you'll see the lyrebird, a native Australian bird known for its elaborate tail feathers and its ability to mimic sounds. This design was created by Stuart Devlin, an artist and craftsman behind many of Australia's coin designs. The obverse side, or the head side, features a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, which was designed by Arnold Machin. This portrait was used on Australian coins from 1966 to 1984. Now, why is the 1972 10-cent coin particularly interesting? It's all about mintage. In 1972, just over 8 million of these coins were produced. To give you an idea, that's much lower than other years when tens of millions were minted. A low mintage year often means that collectors might be more interested in holding on to these coins, especially if they're in excellent condition. So, how much is a 1972 10-cent coin worth? The value of these coins can vary greatly depending on their condition. Let's break it down. Most 1972 10-cent coins you'll find in circulation might only be worth face value 10 cents. But if they're in a good condition, some collectors might pay around 50 cents to $1. If your 1972 10-cent coin has any sort of mint error, like a double strike or a planchet error, it could be worth even more. Error coins can sell for as much as $50 or more, depending on the error type and demand. To check the value of your coin, use a magnifying glass to inspect for errors or any unique characteristics, and try to keep the coin as clean as possible. No polishing, as this can lower its value. Collectors are always willing to pay a premium for coins in top condition, especially from low mintage years like 1972. The 1972 10-cent coin might not be a rare treasure, but it has an interesting place in Australian numismatics due to its lower mintage and the appeal of high-quality examples. If you come across one in great condition, it's certainly worth taking a closer look. You never know, it could be a valuable addition to your collection or an exciting find to sell. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more coin collecting tips and insights. Also, let us know in the comments, have you ever found a 1972 10-cent coin? And what coin do you think we should cover next? Happy collecting, and we'll see you in the next video.